I'm your host, Kelly Morgan, indie author and indie publisher. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. Welcome to today's episode. Hey everybody, Kelly here. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. And you know it's Monday because we have a guest. With me, I have Bryan White. He is an author. He wrote a book called Get Selfish, Filling Your Own Bucket First. He is here to talk about the book. Bryan, thank you so much for being a guest on The Author's Mic. Welcome.
Kelly, thank you so much for having me. It is a great opportunity to come share about my book that I released and let people know about it.
Yeah, so tell us all about it. I want to hear all about it. And just, anything that you think that we want to know about the book, give it to us.
Okay. Well, I will start right from the basic that I wrote a book not too long ago, self-published it, and did it kind of all by the nitty-gritty self-learning, hardcore way of getting it where I wanted to go, from writing the rough drafts and multiple endless, oh my God, they were endless rough drafts, to the final product of my book called Get Selfish, Filling Your Bucket First. It's a play on words, it's a philosophy, and it's a story that of the life that I've walked through and having other people to be able to come alive and really resonate with it. So starting from kind of, I'll give the basics of where it came from, is that for all the people out there that were ever like me, who lived life being, oh, what I like to call an extreme people pleaser, somebody who we just trudged along, did everything that everybody else asked. Our beliefs were based on somebody else's beliefs. Our values were based on everyone else's values. We were not who we were meant to be. And then one day I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I hated who I saw looking back. And worst of all, I had no idea who I saw looking back.
Mm.
And there was a small flame that ignited in me. There was a small piece in me that said, I want to love who I see looking back. I want to know who I see looking back. And so that sent me on years and years of my own journey of self-learning, growth, and realizing that all the times that everybody was calling me selfish, and I didn't realize it at first. It is definitely not what it came to be that it is today. But it started from a point of, if you've ever had everyone call you selfish, or that you were being difficult, or that you were being self-centered or thinking about yourself, when all you were trying to do is set a boundary, when all you were trying to do is prioritize yourself, when all you wanted to do is stand in your values, your morals, and your authentic life. We get to a place in our life where we have to decide and make those hard choices, that what are our values, our morals, our passions, our wants, our needs, our lines in the sand, our non-negotiables. Who are we? What are we? What do we want to do with our own lives? And realize how much of us have we let other people pour into us? What is in our bucket? Because the truth was, you cannot pour with abundance and you cannot pour out into other people if your bucket is full of holes, depleted, toxic, and full of everybody else's sludge. It is only when your bucket is shiny, vibrant, and you know exactly what you've poured into it, then can you pour with abundance. So there's a whole lot to my book that I kind of brought this concept of, well, you know what? We need to get selfish. We need to fill our own buckets first. And I broke down the steps and the philosophies that I developed over the years and that I personally worked through, and brought them to life in this reflective journey. In the book, you get to walk through all the different stages, and at each end of the stage, there's a handful of reflection questions. So we get to explore how you feel about it and really think about, what are your beliefs, and, what are your mindsets on this? How do you feel about this? What did this chapter really bring out in you? And then as you complete the book and you get through it, at the very end of the book, We get to do it all over again in a much bigger way. You get to go through it all again and reflect on, from point A to point B. Has something changed? Something shifted? Are we looking at something in a new way now? Or how can we expand upon the places we want to go? Um, I know that that's a whole lot to take in all at once, and there's a massive amount compacted into this little book of mine, but it is powerful. It's a space where people get to make that decision and they get to wake up and look in the mirror and ask themselves that really hard question. Who am I? Do I love who I see looking back? What am I doing with my life and where am I going?
Yeah, those are all really good questions. I think they will resonate with a lot of people because I think a lot of us over the years have found ourselves being people pleasers, for whatever reason, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be a part of the group, whatever, even though it may not be what you really want to do. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that's one of the things that I had talked about as far as like, even having somebody come on the author's mic. I don't really care what your book is about, what your craft is about, as long as you are authentic in what you are doing. I think that is so important today because so many of us really don't know who we are, and it takes a minute to figure out who you are.
And it's not always pretty. I'm going to be very clear with people. And if somebody is looking for a rainbows and fairy tale where they want to hear that life is going to be great and it's easy and just manifest everything you want, that ain't in my book. I took everything from a very factual, hard look at it and raw basics. I want people to really feel the pain of it, really assess and ask the hard questions. And there's going to be points where some of the things in my book, even I look at them sometimes. And when I was writing it, I had moments going, oh, that kind of hurts when I really think about this again. I had to really do some self reflection, even in writing my own book, in my whole journey that I had walked, going, well, I've already worked through these things, but now that I'm going through them again and writing these out, going, well, now I'm really thinking about them. And am I still living authentically? Am I living to what I've stood for? And all the pieces. So there's nothing about it that is sugar coated or soft and fluffy. And there's nothing about it that is, I'm going to call it friendly and, pat you on the back. This is one of those journeys where if you really want to choose to do the hard work, you really want to dig into the deep, dark, scary places of your soul, then Get Selfish is my book that I want you to find. Because for those who really want to make significant, real change, you have to take it seriously.
Yeah, that is very true. Where is the book available?
Right now, it's just available on Amazon and through my Facebook page. A lot of the times, I love when people reach out to me so I can send them a signed copy and make it really a personal note for them. But if they want to jump onto my Amazon link that we can always share in the show notes there and grab a copy through there. That's the easiest place to start. We're getting it uploaded to a handful of others. It's going to be Barnes and Noble, Ingram Spark, and hopefully through half a dozen or more bookstores coming up in the next while. That is the goal. But I literally got it released in August and have just kind of been pushing hard now to get it out there, get it into people's hands because I know this book is powerful.
Yeah, and I believe that the content will resonate with a lot of people because I think at the time we all have found ourselves, like I said, people pleasing. And when you stop people pleasing, it can be a little painful because you might lose people, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But that's a part of the growth process. So I definitely love that you wrote this book. And so when the only put so you're saying Barn no, not Barnes no. Right now Amazon and your Facebook page is where
Correct.
they can get it. It will be available other places. Do you have any other books coming up? Any other things? Are you now an author, Bryan?
I would like to think of myself as an author, and I do have a couple of other projects that are in the works. The secondary project that I do have is I am a podcast host. I have two different podcasts that are growing and expanding. If you jump through anywhere, any YouTube is my greatest one, but any streaming platforms, there's the Return Project, which is deep dives into people's greatest returns. We take people and we walk them from the darkest portions of people's lives into their greatest returns, returning to their
Mm,
soul, to their heart, to their real purpose. We sit down with people from all walks of life and we really get into what it means to walk through the fire and create your greatest return in life. And then my
nice.
secondary podcast for all the authors out here is called Did I Write That? The Stories Behind the Story. And it's for everything books. That is a podcast all about authors, books, publishing. We dive into the aspects of all things writing, books, you name it, it'll be in there.
Fantastic. So I will make sure that all of the contact links are in the description when this comes out. So Bryan, if you could give somebody one great piece of advice, if they are finding themselves, they're saying, "Hey, Bryan, what you're saying resonates with me, but what's the first thing I can do to no longer be a people pleaser?"
Ooh, I love that question. And I always tell people your starting point is when you get out of bed, or even next time you walk in front of a mirror. I want you to stop and pause, look in that mirror, take a big deep breath, and really look at who's looking back. What do you see? What do you feel? Ask yourself the simple question of, who is this? And if you can't answer that clearly, and it doesn't start leading you down a whack of other rabbit trails, or that moment looking in the mirror with that big deep breath doesn't hurt, well, then it's time to start making some changes, because that's the starting point. The greatest piece of advice out of it is do the hard work and just start. If you've got that fire in your soul and you've got something inside you screaming that there's got to be more to life, you've got that bit in you that says, I'm living this life, but it feels like everybody else's life. I'm doing what everybody else wants me to do. I'm filling myself with what everybody else is telling me. What do I really want? Who am I? It's those questions in life that when you start even having that whisper come into you, you need to make that a scream. You need to be able to answer those and know those clearly, definitively, and passionately. And the piece that comes out of that is, I know it's hard for people to see from a starting point, or even if you're trudging through the mud of it, but the doors it will open, the life that you can move into, and the freedom that you will feel within your life when you step into that is amazing.
I bet. All right, you guys, let me give my laundry list of things before we go because wow, that is a lot of information. Powerful stuff, Bryan. If you are an author and you're interested in sharing this platform with me, it's really easy. You just go to the website, go to the Be a Guest link, fill it out the information, you get the link to schedule yourself, and boom, you are a guest. It is literally that simple. If you are starting your writing journey and you're like, I really don't know what to do with this book, Kelly. What should I do? I got you. I got a 44-page guide on my website. It doesn't tell you how to write the book, but once you publish that book, it gives you all the great information that you need to know. If you're interested in joining a book club, we have one, the IRS, the Indie Reader Society. Would love to have you come join us. If you are an author and you want to pitch the IRS, we would love to read your book. We don't know about your book unless you tell us. And lastly, if you are interested in supporting me, Kelly, you can get both of my books, You Sound White and Wait for It, on my website. I will ship them to you and sign them, but no pressure. You can get them wherever good books are sold. Bryan, thank you so much for being a part of the Author's Mic. And I'll make sure that everybody knows how to get the book Get Selfish. I think that's a topic that we can all resonate with, no longer pleasing others, maybe focusing on pleasing ourselves.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kelly. It's been a pleasure.